Hey everyone, it's Kelly. Thanks for joining me. I am back today with a new project for the Altenew December 2018 Stamps, Dies, and Paper Pack release. And this is actually the second project that I've created for this blog hop that is happening now. So I will link to the first video for the first project that I created in the description box below. I do show all of the products that I was sent in that first video, so if you'd like to check that out, be sure to click the link. And I am starting today with the Verdant Walk 6x6 paper pack, and I fussy cut a couple of the images from that paper pack. You get multiple papers in that paper pack, so I took two of the same paper and fussy cut out a couple of the floral images. I absolutely love them. They are gorgeous. I would never in a million years be able to paint something like that, but they are just absolutely stunning, and I wanted to include them in this layout. It was my absolute favorite paper in that pack. So I fussy cut them out. I used scissors, and I also used a craft knife to cut out the more intricate areas because I wanted to make sure that I had only the florals and that I didn't have any of the white background paper that they come on. And I added some watercolor to my background, and I had applied gesso off camera because I wanted the watercolor to run down the page. I wanted it to mimic those florals that I have on the page. I liked how the florals were hanging, and I thought that the watercolor looked really nice kind of going along in that same direction. So I will admit this layout does take a couple turns along the way. I had originally thought that I was going to place those fussy cut flowers at the top of the layout, and then I thought, I wonder what it'll look like if I turn it on its side. So I rotate the layout on the side, thinking that I would just tuck the photos within those fussy cut florals. And I did fussy cut a few more of the flowers from a couple of different pattern papers that are included in that Verdant Walk paper pack. And I'm just adding those in, just trying to add a little bit more interest. Here you can see me flipping through more of the papers, just trying to decide what I'd like to use as a layer behind the photos. I'm also looking to see if maybe I just want to tuck a couple more of the 6x6 papers, just tuck them underneath the flowers just to add a little bit more detailing. I ultimately decide against that, and I'm going to go ahead and tack down these fussy cut images because I know that they're going to go on that portion of the layout regardless of whether or not I keep it turned on its side or if I rotate it again so the flowers are at the top. So I decided to go ahead and start adding some layers behind the photo. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with the positioning of those fussy cut florals, if I want to leave them on the side or rotate them up to the top. But I do decide that I want to add some tissue paper behind the photo. I love the texture that tissue paper adds, and I love that it just adds a barrier and a separation between the background and the photo. Just helps draw your eye to the photo a little bit more. I end up deciding on that coral pattern paper to add as the pattern paper behind the photo, and I'm going to go ahead and get that adhered down. I'm doing it very messily. I don't really care if they are even or if there's more showing at the top or showing at the bottom. I like the torn edge. I feel like it adds more texture, and I really like adding texture to my pages. Scrapbooking is such a two-dimensional thing that anytime that I can find a way to add extra texture, I like to do that. So I think that I'm going to add in another pattern paper just again for another level of detail and more interest, and as another separation between the background and the photo. Now I am coming in with this flower vine stamp set, and I'm going to add a little bit more detailing behind those fussy cut floral images. I grabbed a gold pigment ink from my stash. I thought that that would be a nice neutral color to add behind those fussy cut images. And again, this is just for another level of detail and just to add a little bit more interest and more shimmer to the background. So once I get those stamped on there, I will hold it a little bit closer to the camera so that way you can see the stamp set in more detail. And again, I do have the stamp set included in the first video where I go through and show you all of the items that I received from Altenew. So if you'd like to see it a little bit closer up, be sure to check out that video. So there you can see the flowers stamped on the layout, and I love the gold. I love those images. They go along really well with those fussy cut florals that I have on the background. And I love how those fussy cut florals, the leaves and the branches just naturally lift off the page. It just really does add so much texture and dimension all on its own. So now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to embellish this layout. I do bring in a few wood veneer butterflies, and those are from Altenew also. They are from a scrapbook kit called Reflections. They are not part of the new release, but I do have both of the Altenew scrapbook collections, and one is called Our Family and the other is called Reflections. And I was bringing in a few items from those scrapbook collections, just seeing if I could make any of them work to embellish the layout. I thought that maybe I would add a cluster to the right hand side of the layout. So I do have some papers and some fussy cut florals over there. I think about maybe adding some more stamping behind the photos. And after I had the stamping on there, I took a little bit of a break and decided that I wanted to have those fussy cut florals at the top of the layout. But because I had stamped those flower vine images behind the photos, when I rotated the page, I couldn't get the photos and things positioned where I could cover up that stamped image. So I needed to start over. So I have this part sped up pretty quickly because I'm just repeating what I did initially, where I added the watercolor, let it run down the page. Now I'm bringing in those main focal points of the layout, which are those large fussy cut florals. I'm adding a little bit more color behind those images because I do want to make sure that you can see it peeking out from behind the flowers. Now I'm bringing my photos back in, and I forgot to show you these close up, but these are photos that we had taken recently. My sister is a professional photographer, so she came to town and took our family photos. I believe these were taken in September, maybe October, so they are very new. And I liked how the colors matched this Verdant Walk paper pack perfectly. So I could use color photos, which is always my first choice, versus using black and white. I typically only convert my photos to black and white if I can't make them work with the collection that I'm using. So now I'm going to start arranging my embellishments, and a majority of them are just fussy cut images from a couple different pattern papers from the Verdant Walk paper pack. I do decide that I want to add in that flower vine stamp set again using the gold pigment ink. So I'm just going to add it along those fussy cut floral areas. I'm not going to add it next to my photos like I did initially. I'm going to raise one of the photos up a little bit just for more dimension. Now I'm just going to start playing with the placement of those embellishments. And I do want to mention, if you happen to be watching this process video on my YouTube channel, I do want to encourage you to head to my blog, which I will link to in the description box below, to hop along on this blog hop. That way you can see all of the projects that were made with these new release products. And Altenew is also giving away gift cards. There is a chance to win a gift card on their Scrapbook blog and their card blog. And they were also kind enough to offer for me to give away a $30 gift card to the Altenew website on my blog. So all you have to do to enter the giveaway on my blog is to head to my blog and leave a comment on the blog post. I will be posting the winner of the gift card on my blog, so make sure that you do check back there to see if you were the winner. And getting back to my layout, I am really close to being finished. I did add my title, which is My Love's My World, and I did use an alpha set from Altenew that is from the Reflections Scrapbook kit. And now I'm adding in a few Altenew enamel dots, and I do add a couple different greens just for some color variation and added detail there. And I just scattered them around the background. I had stapled together my layers behind the photo, and my layers were shifting a little bit every time I bumped them. So I just added a little bit of adhesive behind the photos just to help hold those layers in place. I am going to add a couple 3D foam dots just behind a few of those fussy cut images. I wanted to make sure that they stayed elevated once I had them in my 12 by 12 page protector. Now where I placed those two large floral images at the top of the layout, there was a pretty harsh line right in the middle because they were just two 6x6 papers that I merged together. So I did fussy cut a couple of flowers from a different pattern paper in the Verdant Walk paper pad that matched those florals at the top and placed them where that seam met. So that way it did look like one consistent image all the way across the page. I am going to add journaling right below my photos, and I did use my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter to type that out, cut it into strips, and then just placed it right underneath my photos there. I did also add the date using an Altenew date stamp, and that pretty much wraps it up. I do want to give another huge thank you to Altenew for inviting me to be a part of this blog hop release. I had so much fun using the products. Please remember to head to my blog so that way you can hop along and check out all of the projects. I have no doubt that they're all wonderful. There is a lot of talent on this blog hop, so be sure to check it out. I will be back again soon with a new layout and process video. As always, thank you so much for watching.